and welcome back to card number 3 in my Finding Fall series. I hope you're enjoying this card series. Today we're featuring a slimline card using the reverse leaf stencil from Picket Fence Studio. I knew I wanted to go with aged mahogany and some crackle paste for this stencil. I also had a brown piece of 4x9 slimline paper that I thought would be perfect for layering this on top of. I have a 4x9 piece of Canson XL watercolor paper, and I am being really cheap right here. I'm going to start off with honesty, and this is an honest card making video. I mixed just a little bit because I did not want to waste the crackle paste, and I mixed a second batch using the aged mahogany distress oxide. I knew I wanted to go for softer colors, so mixing that aged mahogany with the white crackle paste is going to tone that down. But I didn't know that I was going to be so frugal that I was going to end up ruining my panel. So I'm putting this third layer down, third time's the charm, and when I lift up my stencil, I'm actually going to lift up some of the crackle paste, and it's going to tear the paper. Fortunately, it only tore, see right there, where the stencil was. It didn't tear any other places. I set it aside to dry for about an hour, and I came back to it and I thought, let's try camouflaging this. So this is, again, an honest to goodness example of how I craft on the fly. These cards have been so much fun, this Finding Fall series, because I am just creating what I want to create, how I want to create it, and this is me. This is how I craft. So the camouflage is coming with that aged mahogany, and it did camouflage it very well. Not only did I put it in the areas where the crackle paste was missing, but I also put it in other areas to add more variety and color to the leaf. It does end up drying back a little bit, so it's a very subtle variety, which I like. You saw that I lost some of the crackle paste when I lifted my stencil again, so I went back in and added a little bit more. But when I laid my stencil down, instead of laying it on the middle of my card panel, I lined it up at the bottom. This created a dilemma right here because my card can't be bigger than 4x9. I know I want a layer of the brown paper underneath it. I don't want this whole leaf to be my card. And so I had to cut down the bottom of that leaf, which made my leaf a little bit stumpy, but I think that the card turned out beautiful. So I'm adding some Victorian velvet, which I think complements aged mahogany very well, all around the white space of the leaf. And then I'm going to bring in that aged mahogany again, and I'm going to stencil. I'm not going to stencil. I'm going to distress just slightly around the edges. So that's going to bring in a little bit more continuity to the panel. I think it's falling a little bit flat right here. And so I wanted to frame it a little bit more with that aged mahogany, that deep color. I wanted to go with the softer colors of fall. Now, mahogany is a very rich color, but it's not as in your face as an orange and red. So I knew for this series, for this card, that I wanted to share the softer side. I didn't know I was going to be sharing the really, truly organic side of me. Here, I didn't want to waste that aged mahogany, so I added some water to it, and I'm painting it into some of that white space to tone that down. And then I thought I would do a little bit of splattering. Upper left-hand corner, watch what happens. I watered it down too much, and it's going to absorb. Gone right into the paper. This is where I decided that I would use my fine text. So I didn't plan this. I ended up adding some water to that burgundy. I'm splattering it on, and you know I love adding it to the edges. So I'm going to add a little bit more depth, just a very fine line of it all the way around the edges. It's going to give it a little bit more sparkle. I'm seeing that sparkle and my mind starting to turn, and I thought, I need to bring in my Gansai Tambi Starries. But first, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping with a Holtz it's just a sentiment stamp, but I wanted some text on this in that background just to add a little bit more texture to it. So I'm going to paint on that stamp. And here's where I inadvertently decide which way my card's going to go. So right now this panel could be a horizontal card. I could make it a vertical card, but I'm adding the text in this way. And so you see that I'm going to have a vertical card because if I go horizontal, the text is going to be in the wrong direction and it's just not going to look right. So now I know that my card's going to be a vertical card, and here's where I'm adding that gold. And so I just wet that gold with some water, mixed it up a little bit, dipped my finger in there, ran it across the leaf, and then of course I splattered it on. And so now I'm thinking, well, let's layer. So I'm adding, this card panel is about 1/8 of an inch larger than my cut down panel. So the cut down leaf panel is 8.5 by 3.5, and I'm painting that same gold organically all the way around. And I love this color. It is so beautiful, so rich, and watch what it does when I add the card panel. The card panel really, it makes everything just come to life. So here I've used some double-sided tape because there's some warping on that panel. I want to make sure that it's on there nice and flat. And I'm going to bring in these stretch letters from Tim Holtz. I cut out the word hello using some gold mirrored cardstock. And I'm using my T-square ruler to line everything up. Things go a little bit wonky towards the end, but I think that I get my letters on really straight. I'm going to use some art glitter glue on this. And I really like the incorporation of the gold letters. I could have went with a darker color because I am using a brown in the background, but I think that the gold just really brightened up the background and added a little bit more to those gold splatters that are in there. If you could see this card in person, oh my goodness, it has such beautiful texture and such shine, and it really makes my heart happy. I'm going to bring in that brown 4x9 inch paper, and you're going to see what I mean about how well it just went with the aged mahogany. I have a finished card of 4x9, so this is the largest card panel that I should say, that you can use in a number 10 envelope and get away with not having to pay any extra postage. I didn't add any dimension to this, so it is going to mail with just a regular forever stamp, which is really nice. And once I get this brown layer on, I'm going to glue down to the center of that my finished card panel. And look at how beautiful that is. Ugh, be still my heart. I love the texture on this. I have some burgundy and gold sequins, and once I glue these down, that's my finished card for today. I hope you enjoyed going through this process with me. If you did, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Here's a close-up look of my card. Thanks so much for watching today. Have a fabulous day.